first off, I want to say thank you for joining us on this adventure. I did not expect to get any viewers besides friends and family, and so it's pretty cool that a number of you have joined the channel and have started asking me questions. Generally, I want this channel to be an off-the-hip, kind of shoot from the hip kind of thing, where as we experience things, you experience things. Of course, I'm editing it, so some of the stuff is a little curated, but for the most part, I want it to be just raw footage that we took while we were out wandering around, that I just cut down for time and clarity and cut out the babble between my wife and I when we're going for walks and stuff. So that said, a few of you have asked why we're here in Alaska. Some of you have asked about jobs and that kind of thing. Some of you have asked about travel here and the people. All right, so first of all, our story. My wife is getting her PhD in psychology, or her PsyD in psychology. As part of that, she has to do an internship, a year-long internship. And those internships had to be open up, like that search had to be across the country. One of the sites that we looked at, or she looked at, we looked at because it involves both of us moving, was Alaska, specifically Anchorage and Nome. She also interviewed at a few other places across the country, Sioux Falls, a handful of others, including our home state where we came from of Minnesota. But after having visited Alaska, and in particular coming up here in Nome, she ranked Nome as her first choice. And we waited around to get answers about where she was going to end up going. And in the end, it ended up that here we are in Nome. She was chosen to go to Nome. This presented some problems. One, we owned a house in Minnesota. Two, my job was based out of Minnesota. Three, we have 2 dogs. So, one, how am I going to come up there? 2, what are we going to do with the dogs? And 3, what do we do with the house? So, the first thing we did is my wife, when it came time for her to come up here, which was June of 2020, she had to come up 2 weeks earlier than when she would have started because of COVID, and she had to quarantine for 14 days, all that jazz. She didn't want to come up here and essentially be alone because I wasn't able to join her right out of the gate. We didn't move up here together. So she took one of the dogs. Taking dogs on a 30-hour trip with layovers and that kind of thing from Minnesota to Seattle to Anchorage to Nome is a pain. We both took one of the dogs. Both of them got registered as emotional support animals. She took Charlie. And Charlie did pretty well for the most part on the trip, but she brought Charlie up here, and that presents its own issues, right? You have to go through getting the dog certified. You have to see the vet. You have to do this. There's all these things that you have to have in place. Paperwork you have to have in place to get it done. And then, of course, you have to do the training with the dog. So all that had to be dealt with. I had to do the same thing with our other dog, the black and white one, which you've seen in maybe some of the other videos, Petey. So that said, she got up here with Charlie. She was staying in a place with somebody that was one of the previous interns, and she was here. In the meantime, I'm down in Minnesota trying to convince my work to let me work remote from Alaska and keep my current position. They had said no a number of times, and I had continued to kind of try and push the point. And finally, I got them to agree to it, thanks in part to COVID. I mean, you don't want to ever say that I'm grateful for COVID, but I'm grateful that COVID allowed us to work from home and prove that working from home is a viable option, particularly for the industry I'm in, which is IT, answers another question. Is that's what I do. I work from home. I work IT for a company based out of Minnesota that has Chicago office and Florida office and has employees kind of around the country. So I'm able to work from home. That once the company gave me permission to work from home, that's what got me up here. That's what allowed me to come up and follow my wife up here. But we still had the problem of selling the home. We had lived in our house for 7 years. We have 2 dogs, so we have a backyard that was fenced in that was essentially destroyed because dogs run around and destroy a backyard. It's funny how you have all these projects when you own a house. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix that. Oh, we can always paint the cabinets. We can always do this. We can always do that. And you never do it. And then suddenly it's like, I'd like to sell this house. And you're like, oh, I got to paint the cabinets. I got to get the floors done. I got to do this. I got to do that. So I went in a mad dash. Once Collegius, my company, So I went on this mad dash. Once my company that I work for said, yeah, go ahead. You can work remote. It was, okay, now I got to figure out how to get this house on the market. In 3 months, I emptied the entire house, had it completely painted and floors done and things fixed up, had the backyard landscaped. I landscaped a lot of the front yard, cleaned it all out, top to bottom, and put it on the market. It was on the market and went on the market the week that I moved up here to Alaska. It sold that weekend. We were absolutely grateful. Shout out to our realtor, Nikki Lettner. If you're in the Twin Cities and you need a realtor, look her up. She's with Edina. She was amazing. She really helped me work through all the things that I needed to work through. So there's a little plug for you, Nikki. So then we got up here. Everything's great. Like renting's expensive, groceries are expensive, utilities are expensive. I have to pay for unlimited internet because, well, one, we like to stream TV. It's cold up here. We want to watch TV. And two, I need to make sure that I have top tier internet for work because I work from home. So that's $400 a month by itself. Then you add in utilities, you add in any of the packages that you have, of course, for streaming, HBO, whatever you have. Groceries are extremely expensive. Maybe I'll do a video on that. I don't see. That's one of the things I don't want to do videos on that because you can go on. There are videos already. There's even videos of groceries here in Nome. There's a guy that's holding onto a watermelon saying $27 for a watermelon. Y'all can find that. That's not. I'm not unique about that content, but if I wander around town and I kind of show you what I see, that's kind of my goal. Anyway, I digress. What are some of the other things? Let me refer to my notes. Some of you have asked about jobs here. Healthcare. Healthcare is by far the biggest employer and has the most amount of job openings. If you go online and you Google, you look on Indeed or you look on any of the job sites, nursing. Just nursing. There's also a prison here. There's also, or a jail. I think it's a prison. It's a prison. There's a few schools that hire janitorial stuff. There's some grocery stores that are usually looking for people. I know there's a Wells Fargo branch that has had a opening for a teller for a while. I mean, that's the kind of jobs you got up here. Some of them are like, this is also the government seat for the area, so there are some of those types of jobs. There is a community college here. I don't know if they do 4-year programs in anything here, but I do know that they do 2-year programs. And I applied for a couple roles, a couple jobs there. One was like an administrative kind of assistant thing, and one was tutoring. I have a master's degree in English, so I figured I could figure out how to tutor. But because my company allowed me to work remote, I didn't need to do that. I was looking for all sorts of jobs when it didn't look like my company would allow me to work remote. What else? Places to stay. If you come up here, there are a handful of hotels. I wrote them down, and you can, of course, look them up yourselves. There's Aurora Inn and Suites. There's the Nome Nugget Inn, which is where a lot of the Bering Sea guys stay, I'm pretty sure. There's Noxapaga Suites. I don't know anything about it. We walked by Aurora. We walked by Nome Nugget. There's Dredge Number 7 Inn, heading out of town. Bering Sea B&B and the Sweet Dreams B&B. I don't know anything about those either. The Aurora Inn and Suites is right across the street from the Bering Sea. So you look out right onto the Bering Sea. It looks like a pretty decent building. Again, I haven't been in any of these. The Nome Nugget Inn is tied to one of the kind of bar establishments in town. People up here are great. If you're willing to open yourself up, you're willing to listen to people, People up here are great. Times to visit, in weather. I've only got up here in September, so I've seen fall and now winter. Fall was amazing. The colors were amazing. I guess I missed the really, really nice colors by about a week. But the blueberries were still out. The tundra blueberries, they were still all, hopping and stuff like that. We did do a nice long drive out into the tundra to a miner's cabin. Look up the video down here. Tom's cabin, or old miner shack. I'm looking forward to spring. Right now, just as we speak, the sea has finally frozen over. It hadn't been a few days ago. I looked out there the other morning and it was white as far as I could see. Spring and summer, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see what it's like when it's 24/7 daylight. It is not 24/7 night up here. The shortest day of the year is about 3.5 hours. Right now, we're about 4-ish. Gets light around 11, starts to get dark around 4:30. Ish. 3, 4-ish. I don't really pay attention. I just kind of look outside and suddenly it's dark. Our long-term plans. We moved up here. Her internship is a year. We moved up here for that. She's looking at the possibility of extending that and extending her role here for at least another year, potentially longer. We don't know. Our plan is to stay in Alaska. That's why this is to Nome and beyond. We knew we were here for a year. And so the following year, if we had to go somewhere else, Fairbanks, Anchorage, wherever, that's the and beyond, right? We came up here, we saw Nome, we lived in Nome for a year, and now it's time to go on to the beyond. Right now, I think we're leaning towards Fairbanks. So yeah, Fairbanks looks like a pretty good option for us. Not a large community, or not a super large community. Large compared to this, 35,000 people-ish, somewhere in that area. Has a university, has a Costco, that kind of thing. So you can get what you need easier. Up here, sometimes it takes longer. A lot of things, if you want it, you have to order it. So that's kind of our hope there. Then again, we could be down in Wasilla, Palmer, Anchorage, kind of the northern Matsu Valley area. Even Kenai, somewhere in that area, or Seward. It really depends on her employment and where she finds a role as a psychologist in a community. So that's our plan. We don't plan on going back down to the lower 48. There's a saying, and I don't know who came up with it, but you don't choose Alaska. Alaska chooses you, and that's very much the case. We came up in January of this year for her to visit the sites and to do her interview in Anchorage and visit Nome for a day. And that was it. Like, we were hooked. And it was basically 4 days here, and it snowed the entire time. And we were in not the best area in Anchorage. But it was like, this is where we want to be. It's just beautiful. So that said, if you like outdoors, you don't mind winter, this is the place to be. You gotta not mind the cold, and you gotta not mind snow. I know a lot of my coworkers are like, you're crazy. Today it was -1 wind chill of -20. That hasn't been super frequent this year. There's been a couple of days that are really cold where the dogs are out for, 5-10 minutes, and they come in kind of holding their paws up. But overall, it's a Minnesota, it's a Wisconsin, as far as temperature goes. Fairbanks, on the other hand, from what I understand, gets way, way colder. And on average is way, way colder. I think I've seen it like low temperatures of -55. That's definitely a plug your vehicle in kind of location. I think that's about it. I don't really have anything else from the comments. I'm just really glad that y'all commented, and y'all seem kind of interested. I want to keep doing this as best as I can. This is probably the most scripted I'm going to be. And all I'm going by is a few notes that I had written down. I'll put a little bit, maybe I'll do a bit of some pictures from the move and the house. I've got some, I'll close out with some video from selling the house and moving up here that I did. Back on my way up here, of course. I'll close this out by putting a little bit of video and maybe some pictures from my move up here, selling the house, getting them. Again, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like, if you want. Ring the bell. I think the bell, that the thing that tells you that there are new videos up there. And thanks again. I mean, I really appreciate it. This kind of blows my mind that keep getting subscribers and yeah. All right. So yeah. Oh wait, no, don't do that. That looks like white power. I'm not white power. So all right. So yeah. Usually I end these with something strange and I don't know what to end it with. That's strange. New wave. Because